Well, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about in my keynote address today here in Atlanta at the Quadruple AI, and that is emerging and re-emerging infections, a perpetual challenge. And the message is there have always been new and re-emerging infections. There are right now. We're experiencing them right now with Zika, and we've recently just had the experience with Ebola. And in the future, there always will be emerging and re-emerging infections. And the point that I'm going to make is that since this is the season in Washington when there's the transition of administrations, that I was asked prior to the swearing in of the various members of the cabinet to partake in a briefing of the cabinet about what kinds of surprises or threats they may encounter in the first year of a new administration. You know, things like regular terror with bombs and bullets, another Hurricane Sandy, cyber attacks, and emerging and re-emerging infections. And the point that I'm going to describe, or the points that I'm going to describe in my keynote today, is that I became the director of NIAID, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, 32 years ago, and actually 33 years ago in 1984. And when I came in, Reagan was president, and the emerging infection that we hit then was AIDS. And it seems interesting and somewhat almost ludicrous that it was from AIDS to Zika. So it's like A to Z versus emerging infections. And in there, with each administration, with George H.W. Bush, with Bill Clinton, with George W. Bush, with Barack Obama, and now with President Trump, that we have already seen things like, besides HIV/AIDS, we've seen West Nile virus, we've seen MERS, we've seen SARS, we've seen pandemic flu, we've seen chikungunya, we've seen Ebola, and now we're just in the middle of, towards the end of, and maybe a resurgence of Zika. So it really is emerging infections from A to Z. So the point I was trying to make is that without a doubt, we are going to see some either new or re-emerging infection in the next year or two or three or four. But if history holds true, it certainly will happen in this administration, so we need to be prepared for it.